Hello, everybody, because it's currently like week 14 of my PhD, and it is the 4th of July in the United States, so shout out to all my friends and viewers in the US of A. So it's been 14 weeks since I've been enrolled in the program, and we just recap everything every week for you guys, for my supervisors, for anyone who is interested in the journey, for myself, obviously, and for all our viewers, all right, you guys who join us live every day. Now, no one's here at the minute, and that's great though. I don't mind that. That's actually my preference. I always say this, but like, you know, it's a real privilege to have the time to be able to, you know, watch streamers and all this kind of stuff when you can be out there making the world a better place. Obviously, it would be amazing if you could do both, but alas. So my PhD, right, is about elite gaming first and foremost, but what is also really important is looking at the popular culture as well as the streaming element, right? And the streaming element can kind of branch off into two ways. You know, we can look at it in terms of all the technology, and then I suppose in the art section of the school, you know, so looking at all the culture and what it means for how we live. So I've got a few different points to talk through here. I know you guys can't see it all, so allow me to move the camera over. That way we can see. So I'll just go in the top left-hand corner, sorry. So let's just talk through. We'll do PhD, then gaming, then stream, right? So by and large, lately, it's been very simple with the PhD, with the scholarship and sort of coming into the program with different expectations than what I was thinking. You know, so like the university had ideas. Everyone had different ideas. I feel like, along the short of it, I wouldn't be here. You know, I would have gone somewhere else. I would not have chosen Charles Darwin University. Why? Why did we choose the university? Again, it's just because there were a number of different reasons. We thought all those things would come through, and none of those things happened, you know, and it cost us lots of other opportunities. The big picture thing, though, is that it's a real privilege to be able to do your PhD in the same place that your missus did it, in your hometown, to support a young and growing university with the two of us, and we are the best in our fields, right? We're absolutely incredible. We could be at any university, but we're here. But unfortunately, I am here under, I feel like, a false pretense. And no one in this university cares, right? Like I went into detail last week. So the first point is on working. And basically, when I was going to work with gentlemen in the military, so like we're talking an officer, not like my mentor back in the day. So I had I get the ranks mixed up, right? And there is a distinction. Anyway, so we had a 2-star. I had a 2-star, and in Australia we only have 3, right? So, you know, to get a 2-star mentor is a really big deal. And so the person I was going to work with, you know, isn't quite there, but is certainly one of the very best this country has to offer in the field of cybersecurity, and like so much so that they were able to branch out before going all the way to the very top in the armed services. So I was going to work with him, and I remember with cybersecurity of satellites and stuff like this. Basic premise was the thesis was going to be on perfect systems, and basically like systems design, how to make sure that they are really secure, and looking at intrusion countermeasures and things like this. Anyway, Context being satellites. Anyway, he said to me, "Don't worry about a scholarship, Gaz. Just go and like get into the program and work full time, because you got to do all this stuff. You know what I mean? You're so capable and incredible, and when you're down here and stuff, like you're not going to be not involved, if that makes sense." So it's like the PhD is ultimately like a license or a ticket to do it. So we got a viewer who's like a tattoo apprentice at the moment, and it's kind of like saying, if I was to make my situation similar to theirs, it would just be like, you are all good to go. Just start tattooing, start doing everything. Go ahead and open your own business. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're already there. Just go and do it, please. And all your paperwork is going to take a few years, assuming that you do everything right, because you can. You'll all be good. So he was basically like, just go and work. And I'm not that kind of person. What I like to do is live my work, really throw myself into everything that I'm doing, and making it like my whole life in a lot of ways, right? And you can kind of tell that with how I'm doing this. But in the absence of having the trust broken with the institution and the lack of funding, it puts me in a position where, whilst I don't need to go and work or do anything, like ultimately the act of doing the PhD and all this stuff is not enough to make me happy alone, right? So just doing a very small stream to a small and select audience, making that artifact for my PhD and gaming all day and stuff at this stage of my life is insufficient to make me happy. I feel like I could be doing more, right? I feel like I could be doing more. I'm a capable person. And I don't know if that means going back to work or whatever, or if it means just finding something that I can do around here. Like if I was a dad or something, I would have something else to be doing, you know what I mean? I'm a doggy dad, so yeah. And I understand as well, like this is one of the big pushes that we do, meaning that we've got to finish out 2,000 hours on Kick, because that's kind of what we're doing. We've done 2,000 on Twitch and we'll do 2,000 on Kick. That's 1 year full time and equivalency of being on stream, right? And doing that means that I can't do all the other stuff that's related to being a content creator or social media personality, if that makes sense. On your own, it's really tricky to do all on your own. It's so much easier if you are not streaming 8 hours a day. Just put it that way, right? And I don't really see the point of me doing 12 or 15-hour days to squeeze all that other stuff in if it doesn't actually generate any income and it doesn't actually contribute to the PhD, if that makes sense. So there's not much point overdoing it. And so it's like, when I think about working, I'm thinking about the fact that in my old line of work and even for Lady Gaz, if you're the very best of the best, then there is 0 point staying in Australia long term. You only should be here for a couple of years, maybe just do a 5-year contract at one of the lesser universities, if you couldn't get to one of the better ones globally. So I think to myself, like, what kind of successes could I have had if I was an American is something that I think to myself often. So the type of cybersecurity consulting that I used to do, like in the state of California, basically everything that I can do really only applies to companies that make more than 25 million. So I wouldn't even be looking at, I'd be in a totally different league, basically. I feel like Australia is just the kind of country where, like, it keeps you on average, and if you deviate from that, you will be punished. And with how things are, it's very simple and very easy to fall through the cracks. And I feel like I'm the kind of person who has just simply I've just spent long enough waiting. I want to go and do something. And I feel like that's normal for anybody who's kind of at this stage of their life, like I am. So I'm thinking about going back to work. Or at the very least, I'm thinking about what I can do, because if we look at the stream topic down there in the bottom right-hand corner, I still haven't heard from Starlight. So there's just so much stuff that's just like up in the air, you know, and like getting a job is not something that you can just go and do, right? You have to be chosen. Other people are involved and you kind of fit in or you don't fit in, and you solve a problem or you don't solve a problem. You're the one or you're not. There's thousands and millions of people who are trying to do all this stuff. And fundamentally, I don't need to do any of this stuff. My problem is just one that stems from having privilege, the privilege to do what I'm doing, right? And wanting more. And that's the kind of person that I am, because I'm an ambitious person. I'm a driven person. I'm the kind of person who gets chosen to be CEO because I did a good job, but I'm thinking about the good job that's coming up next. So point 2 then, having plenty of time in the PhD. Basically, my supervisors other students. My supervisor is busy and they have all sorts of stuff to do. The university is it's very easy university, despite the fact that only 1 in 2 students make it through, on average, on the whole, as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't. If you only got a 1 and 2, then you know it's like going and asking the girl out to the prom. If you've got a 1 and 2, you could wear a suit, or you could just wear board shorts and a t-shirt and ask. You got a 1 and 2 shot, right? And if you dress up in the suit, you're probably gonna cook it. What I'm saying is that I don't need to push too hard because it's dead easy what I got to do. I know what I'm doing. I'm the guy to do it. Dead easy, plenty of time. I could push the project forward, but why? Everyone's busy and nobody cares. So just like go through the motions, you know. When I was back in my undergrad days, I used to really be a big fan of, and I'll get cancelled for this, but I was a fan of Henry Kissinger, not for his foreign policy per se. Like I read his work, right? Had to study all this stuff, but because he wrote his thesis at Harvard very quickly, because he knew what he was doing and he wasn't gatekept, and that's what I admired. So on the one hand, it's that I know I could do this super fast, but I don't really have that opportunity, if that makes sense. There are other PhD candidates who get to work on faculty and contribute and all this stuff. I don't get any of that at all. I'm just getting I got a bad deal. But maybe I don't need any of that stuff or want any of that stuff. It's not like I haven't been on faculty before or whatever. The point is that I got plenty of time. It's all good. And no rush. So, you know, if you see me on stream just mucking around playing games and stuff, well, that's what it is. That's what the artifact is, guys. So, yeah, cope. Because you didn't design your life around simply existing and getting the qualification. And I know that sounds really bad, but matter of factly speaking, I can have, and I can describe what I do however I want to do. The proof is important, and you'll see what we cook up in the long run, right? Plenty of time to write 50,000 word thesis and then have artifact or artifacts to show, to help people understand what this whole segment of society is like. An entire generation is doing. Average age of streamers on Kick is mid-30s, right? Average age of viewers cross platforms is Gen Z. So do you know what I mean? You take away those 2 segments of society, all you're going to have left is boomers and boomers to be. Have fun with that. I watched the debate in the United States, right? So have fun with that. Finally, there was point 3 is the IAH game and the spectrum of running train of thought that I had, right? So I will show you this game right now. It's the I Am Hacker game. Basically, it's a game where you code these little bots and they fight each other and they shoot, and there's all these different parameters, and you code it all up. Like you use a code
when you can
an IDE, a development environment, and then you connect it to the game, and then you type up, I imagine, what the bots do. Right now, my programming, everything else is not very sophisticated.
when you can
So what I like about the game and what really stood out to me about the game was that you can play it with just like point and clicking and all this stuff. And I'm really wondering if it's going to be possible to do simplified abstracted programming of the bots and stuff, and then still have the same level of performance as someone who does this in the competitive programming sense, right? Basically, I could see this type of thing turning into a esport. I can also see this type of thing being the future of certain computer use, in so much as it being indicative of an example of gamified and I suppose what's it called? Humanified is not a word, but where you make something that is compatible with humans and people. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like how you have a toilet, but then you have a latrine for the lads. Do you know what I mean? Someone thought about it and went, "Oh, okay, we'll make this more user-friendly." And so there's so much hacking and coding and programming and all this kind of stuff that is just simply like it's its own activity, and rightfully so. But like there is a really big there's a really big difference between having something that everyone can do, right, and a really big difference between having something that only a handful of people can do, and like what is the thing that's going to have the maximum benefit for everybody. Now I know I sort of like went off on a big tangent, and like if none of that kind of makes sense, I really don't blame you. Let's look at our time. Wait, I don't need to look at the time. Let's go here. When I say time, I mean like time left, how many hours left of stream that we have to do. It's around 300, so that's all good. And the spectrum of running thought that I had, this was like an interesting one, and my viewers have sort of seen this already, but like we've been playing a roguelite game, shooting game, so kind of like Hades, which is the main game that I play. It's been a lot of fun, and in the process of playing this game, right, I was reflecting on my Hades play, and so I'm a quote-unquote speedrunner because I play the game really fast and everything else, but there's something to do with speedrunning, that's this pink icon here, where it's like you can play that game in a way where when you speedrun, there is like a attitude or philosophy or approach where saving time and going as fast as possible is the only thing that matters, right? Only thing that matters, as epitomized by like saving the frames or saving the animals in Metroid from Games Done Quick as a subculture. And when I play Hades, I don't really speed run per se because there's so much more I could probably be doing that I don't really do. I just kind of like play fast, and I have this point where I'm like playing and I still really like the game. I still really like what I'm doing, and I don't kind of want to morph the game into something where it just becomes alien to the actual game itself, right? And so basically at the very end of this kind of spectrum or whatever is this taskbot thing, which is where people make bots or AIs or computers to play the game, and it plays it effectively, perfectly, and as effectively as fast as possible within the confines of the rules of the game without fundamentally breaking it too much. whereby the game is no longer really
when you can
the game, as in like it wouldn't even work, you know? It's only working because of this one thing, and if you stop playing for 1 second, the whole thing would collapse and the game would be like, oh, all these errors are happening. So I just thought this was really interesting, and I imagine that this type of concept, this thing applies not universally, but depending on the game and depending on the game modes and depending on whatever it is that is inspiring the spirit of play and the reward or whatnot. I imagine that we can see this type of thing with a lot of different games and a lot of different ways of playing. And I enjoy sort of like just getting it drawn up so I could speak about that with you. And I'm hoping that with all of these different little theorizing and things that I do, that I'm either going to find really strong, prudent, and evident examples in the literature, or perhaps I will be the one to write those things, maybe. We'll see what's up. But look, on the PhD front, it's like pretty chill. I'm still like getting the taste out of my mouth, and I'm still, as I was explaining to my supervisor last time that we met after the news. And let me just say on that point, my supervisor wanted to make sure this talk about my feelings and all this kind of stuff. I'm not really that kind of person, you know. I wanted to get what was mine. If it was never here, fine. Let me go and get what's mine. Now I'm in the process of being like, well, what is mine? What's mine? What am I going to get? You know, and that loops back into on working and putting everything together. Because, you know, without the funds, without that something to the tune of 90,000, I don't know how I can do the research the way that I had initially envisioned it. I can do something that will pass, that will get us through, that still ticks all the boxes and everything, but it ain't the thing that I signed up to do, if that makes sense. It's just a thing that's there. Let's talk about the gaming. So Red Dead Redemption 2, let me see if I can pull up a picture of that. If you've not played that before, I'm not sure if I've got footage somewhere, right? But it's just probably easier if I just scroll through these screenshots. Maybe some of this stuff means something to you. Maybe you've seen it before. These are other games. These ones, yeah. But, you know, this game has been on my to-playlist for a really long time. Last time I played it, I put 6 hours into it. I found it really boring. I didn't really like it. The game is old, but it was like remade, and I was first inspired to play it because a friend of mine, we call him Zuma, but he's totally successful, was just totally in love with the game, played it during annual leave when it was released on Xbox, and I wanted to play it ever since, and then I tried and I found it boring, and I gave it to a friend and they found it boring. But I am committed to playing it because I saw that Kai Cenat played it, and he's going for Gamer of the Year. I'm a gamer, so, you know, maybe I can keep pace with this. He did Red Dead 2, Ghost of Tsushima, and Elden Ring. 3 games that I'd love to be able to play this year. It's not too late for me. I can squeeze them all in. But yeah, that's kind of like a major game that we're showcasing on Kick at the moment. I'm trying to have fun with it. But at the same time, though, like, I am who I am. As much as like it would be amazing to be able to like act the character of Rival Gaz and like turn it up to the max. When you got to show up every day and you're taking setbacks, like if this was a movie or whatever, and I just got this huge setback and I didn't get the contract like I was negotiated and all this kind of crap, you know, I'd be like, I'm not filming for another month or whatever. You know, come back and talk to me. But I got to do this show every day. So if I'm not feeling it and my performance is off or weak, then it is what it is, guys. You know what I mean? I didn't do this to myself, but because I'm in charge of myself and everything else, I also got to bat for myself and say, see if I can pull myself up and keep moving. Another game that we've been playing, though, is a title called RoboQuest, right? RoboQuest is really fun. It's a roguelike, so it's kind of like Hades. It's lots of shooting. Surprisingly, the more that I play the game, the more enamored I become with the game. I know I'm totally going to get over the game, but I would really like to see if I could beat this game like fast. Like not in like maybe in a speedrun sense, but nothing too like over the top. I just think it's got. I just think they did so much stuff right in this game. So if I was just to keep it to like 3 things only at this stage, like the game is fun, and it's fun because it's just fun. There's polish isn't the right word, but then again, it also applies, I suppose. But it just has, it feels complete, and you can play it with a friend, which is amazing, right? What was really interesting and worth talking about in a bit more length, though, is I wish I had the footage to show you guys. But basically, because I was cloud streaming the game with Xbox, right? This is our little Xbox client. And we were cloud streaming this game, RoboQuest, but I did not have a graphics card. We do have a graphics card now. I've got to talk about that. So I was able to install the game on the PC and then play the game on PC and not have any kind of performance issues. And I feel like I play better, right? This game is developed and published by Rise Up Studios, if you want to know who they are, and published by, as well with Star Breeze Publishing. So, right, there's this NVIDIA research, and I've said this so many times on stream, but I'm obliged to say it here as well, that says basically more is more. If you have a computer that can do 240 frames per second and you've got all the kit to get you 240 out of your equipment and you can see and experience that and nail it, then you will play better. And it's something to the tune of a 30% performance increase in your performance and play in these kind of competitive esportsy titles, right? And I found that really interesting. So we've been playing RoboQuest, and for the entire time that we've been playing it, we've only been sort of scratching the surface to get into the halfway point. We've been playing the game on hard, so we first started playing the game, we played it on hard, we kept it on hard, and we kept all the crystals on and all this kind of stuff, if that means something to you. But we've been playing it on hard, and I've been streaming the game, and in between having really low image fidelity, tons of pixelization, tons of micro stutter, straight up crazy lag, and everything else, it's like my performance was way down. And basically that's kind of like the inverse of the NVIDIA research, right? Is to say less is less, so you'll play less. And I kind of felt that. And now that I've got this middle ground where I can just straight up play the game at 1080p, 120 frames per second, so the halfway point to NVIDIA's more is more, I feel like together with Subpar, and Subpar being able to play on mouse and keyboard, which is his preference, and me to continue to play on controller, this pink Xbox controller, this is the one that we use, we were able to get to the final part of the game, right? Yesterday, which was a huge accomplishment. And it's taken about 100 matches to get there, and a few different play sessions, but no more than 7 play sessions. I think we've done really, really well because it's a game that requires someone in Darwin to play with someone in Los Angeles cooperatively, in sync, simultaneously, on a hard difficulty, the first time doing it, and in a state of playing at a disadvantage and then playing to learn and then relearn inputs and how you're doing it. So I've been really proud of our performance to date, and the only thing that I would say is that the game gives you a lot of stats. I wish I was tracking those stats. But again, having completed my research integrity training and all this kind of stuff, like I can still do what I've got, I can still use in some kind of research or to talk, but it still is not the same as like a really big bona fide research project with all the checks and balances in place and all this kind of stuff, right? And I acknowledge that. But in the process of acknowledging that, I'm also signaling that I can do the big whiz-bang stuff, right? If only I had the resources and given the chances that I thought I had, which is why I came here in the first place. Otherwise, most definitely would have gone to the University of Melbourne or Sydney, assuming that they would have us, right? Shout out to Dr. Mark Johnson, and shout out to everyone at the user experience team, UX UI team at Melbourne. Yeah. You guys are great. So let's talk about the third thing, which is the Hades sub 10 done, right? So you don't know Hades, let me just pull up a screenshot of that too. It would be better if I could get the this game came out in 2020, gnarly. There's a lot of conflicting stuff, but this is the game's artwork. This is the game's artwork, right? I wish I had the footage to show you now, but I don't. It's all going to get cooked up and put on YouTube at some point. But I even got balloons for it. They are in the back, but they're kind of deflated now. But I got a personal best time of around 8 minutes, which is huge. My prior personal best time was like 9 minutes and 50-something seconds, So to shave off more than a minute and a half on my times is very dramatic. That's like a 20% performance increase for me. It was absolutely huge. And like I was able to successfully recover from my hand injury and go and kill it now. So that was so cool. I did sub 10 minutes with all the weapons. And I got it all on recording. I have had it on recording before, but I felt it was faster for me to go and do the feat again than dig through the thousands of hours of footage that I have of gameplay to find it. So we did that. We did it all in under a month, right? We got it done on the very last day of the month, and we had not even been grinding for it to be accomplished in a month. It just happened to come out that way because I was taking like some time off. And when I say time off, I mean like intentionally choosing not to play Hades and some difficult games to rest my hand and stuff, because we've come up with a protocol for how to manage the fatigue and strengthening and all this kind of stuff, and the competencies and efficiencies that we need to attain. And a lot of the stuff has been inspired by like Huberman and Galpin, not to just like name drop them to try to be cool on the internet, but quite literally those guys and the work of an Australian professor, whose name, and I'm sorry, mate, I feel so bad, but it just totally eludes me right now.
When you can
maybe something like understanding exercise or something like this is just absolute machine when it comes to sports science. It's the best. I'm sorry that eludes me right now, but those three gentlemen there really inspired me to
when you can
keep this physiology and
when you can
neuroscience and sports science aspects together, right? In terms of gaming. And I know it's not something that I'm traditionally from. It's probably my weakest area, but it's one that I'm still equally passionate about and recognize the importance of. Now, let's talk about the stream now, and then we'll wrap it up. So again, I mentioned this before, but no word from Starlight, right? I just contacted the CEO. CEO said I'd get an email on Monday. They got staff or streamers or stuff going on. I don't know. Like, I just want to communicate on email. I don't really want to talk on Discord. And the reason being is because I just would like to... We did not have a good experience the first time, right? And a lot of streamers felt the same way. The charity effort hasn't been great, and I would just like to have like some kind of like formality with what's going on before I commit 200 hours or 5 weeks full-time work for the organization. And the team that they have, I guess they just don't want me because they refuse to email me. And that just tells me they're unprofessional, and I don't want to work with people like that, especially because I've already done the work. So let's talk about the second point then. Well, actually, let me just say one last thing. I can still just go and perform the stream and do all this stuff and just raise awareness for Starlight and collect my $100 or whatever. I'm not going to get my name in EV Games this year or anything like that. But it was never about popularity. It was about using the stream to have a bit of an identity, in so much as being able to communicate all of the positive aspects of what streaming can do, and to make my small community that we have feel like they can make a difference and maybe reflect on their own inner child type of thing. But it doesn't go ahead, and they don't want to work with me, and no email, no works, period. And to TikTok, because I've always wanted to do vertical live streaming, and I've been learning a lot about TikTok. I'm thinking about going and getting a job with TikTok. That's what I was saying last week too. And we got a chat with someone from TikTok after this, actually. So that's really exciting. But I've been learning about TikTok, and in particular, going through all their beginners material and learning. I learned an interesting thing about live streaming on TikTok and what their expectations are and what they think is this, that, and the other. And I found it really fascinating. And at this point, I can say that like I like doing the big all day streams and playing video games. I got to do my research and do all this kind of stuff. I like doing that. I like being around every day. I like being on stream. And I wish I could just do so much more, but TikTok is a shorter platform. Same with YouTube, shorter platform. So that kind of really leaves only like maybe Facebook or or Twitch again. But I've already done Twitch, if that makes sense. Would I go back to Twitch and all this stuff? Well, that's the idea, was to go Starlight, to make the content for Starlight, to put it on TikTok, to help grow the TikTok so we could live stream on TikTok, not to make money, but just so that way we can go through all the motions as for my research creating artifacts as a gamer streamer person in the elite gaming context. Bearing in mind that TikTok's audience starts from like 15 onwards. So do you know what I mean? A perfect place to have like family-friendly gaming and positive messaging and branding for Starlight and myself, but we can't make this work, so that's fine at this stage. And I don't want to use them or whatever. I can just do it all on my own. I'm all good. So yeah, learning about TikTok, both in the professional capacity and the content making capacity. I still got to find where we're going to make a home for the stream, right? Because I like streaming. But that said, the consequence of streaming all the time is that you're not doing all the other stuff. So all the editing, all the socials, all the working with photography studios, getting all your high resolution shots and making all the magic happen. You know what I mean? We're not really doing any of that if we're just always on camera. The final thing that I want to talk about is getting this graphics card. It's an Arc A770. So for those of you who don't know what it is, let's just see if we can pull up like a picture of it. Maybe like Intel. No, just like letters and numbers. That doesn't mean a lot to you guys. Let's just see if we can get just some images from Bing, right? So it's a graphics card, looks just like a graphics card, right? It's an amazing card. I wish I got one of these Founders Edition ones. I feel like they're like the collector's one. They're super mint. They're a little card though. The card that I got is by ASRock. It's this one actually. But I got mine for like way cheaper than this. I got mine for way cheaper than this. It came straight away too, like delivered in the mail. But what I love about this card is the fact that it's got an oversized cooler. It's absolute beast. You can overclock this card and you can do so much for the price I paid. It's absolutely the best price to performance ratio that you can get to get your hands on 16 gigabytes of VRAM that enables you to do like heaps of, well, like any kind of AI or creative work reasonably, and any kind of video editing work like recording in AV1 and things like this. It's just really cool and a huge enhancement for the stream. I can confess though, my settings are all a little bit whack. So the way that we were recording the stream before, we got it down to at most like 4 to 5 gigabytes an hour with pristine quality. But now we're getting even superior quality, but it's going up to 8 gigabytes. So I'm hoping that with a few tweaks, we can get that number down and get a... and I know for those of you who know what's going on, you're like, wow, you're effectively recording lossless in AV1, getting those file sizes with the games you play at 1080p, 30 FPS. So on the stream, I don't play all my games like that. I try to play 1080p, 120 FPS because that's the equipment that I have. Works wonderful on the big Samsung, works wonderful on the 32, and it works wonderful on this 24 is not 120, but like it works wonderful on everything that we've got there by and large. So yeah, as you can kind of tell from my demeanor and all this stuff, like things are going pretty well. There is some administrative things that I should point out really quick with the PhD too. So like the first half of all the stuff is all good. So supervisor locked in, locked in for a confirmation of candidature presentation with all the administration done. We just haven't chosen the date, so it's kind of half locked in. But you know what I'm trying to say? All the stuff in the background is done. It's done. It's just I've got until the end of the year to do this, so when do I want to do it? What do I want to do? I'm so sick of these people. I just want to, we showed it the other week, but like we've got 9 out of 10,000 words. I just want to write the last 1,000, make a PowerPoint, talk through the PowerPoint, give them a recording. I don't want to see these people because all they ever do is screw me over, and I'm tired of it. But like, I'm going to try to be my best to represent myself, to represent my hometown, the territory, Darwin, and my local university here, right? I should say this. Part of my frustration is because it's been years and years and years of just like falling through the cracks and no accountability. And that's what happens to Territorians, right? But there is the possibility of, in my mind, that this university is a real winner, and so much real wins have happened, and so much incredible stuff does happen, but it just tends to get overshadowed by just bad things happening, and that seems to be the default. And if I could do anything to change things around here, I would. But this is something that I guess we'll just end this recap on, and it is the fact that with like looking at TikTok and working with TikTok and understanding what that actually means and how you could be considered to be like a bit of a traitor or whatever because of all the drama that TikTok makes. But well as in streaming, like people are like, they pick a platform and they get really loyal to it, and people hate multi-streaming, but some people love multi-streaming, and it's a balancing act, and there's so much there, but that's why you got to strategize and know what works for you and everything like that. And everything that I've been trying to do is not being profit motivated, right? It's motivated out of principles and stuff. And that's why I feel like if I had the good fortune of going to America or becoming an American or something like this, it would really help to give me the reinforcement that I need, at least in terms of character and attitude. But I could be wrong. All those things exist here, and maybe I'll get all those things in time as I grow up and continue to mature and become the best version of myself for the people that need me, and for the things that only I can do in life. My university is not bad, right? But there are better, and I know better, and I'm trying, but it ain't working. So there's frustration, but it ain't all bad, because the truth is that like things happen for a reason, and it's easy to get distracted and lock on to things that are inconsequential. I was saying this to a lady Gaz yesterday. I gave her a really hard time because she has this opportunity. For my American viewers, it's basically being invited by the State Department to go and speak to a foreign government and their national experts on the topic, right? Out of the blue, out of nowhere. And all she was saying was, I wish I had more time. And I gave her a hard time because I was saying that all I want to hear from you is how you're going to do this, because you're the one to do it. So I don't want to hear about how it's not working. I want to hear about how it is working. And that same advice also applies to me, because how it is working for me is working better than anybody else, because I get to play video games all day and stream all day, and I don't have to worry about money. I don't have to worry about work, and I don't have to worry about anything. But like I said, I'm such a ingenious and capable person that now that I've got this all sorted out, if I was like a farmer, it'd be like, great, all these paddocks are done, right? Maybe we'll call up some of the other farmers and we'll see if we can help them. You know what I mean? Might lead to a deal or money, or even if not, it's all about the community and so on, right? But yeah, here's to good news next week and more obstacles removed. I'm feeling better. I'm getting better. And in time, this whole segment and how all of this is done will be different, right? It will be different because it's been 14 weeks of the same stuff. And like I said, I gave myself the opportunity to just chill on this because I didn't want to get wrecked and burnt out. And in the process, I can only imagine how horrible it would have been to not get the scholarship and had been going out and investing 110% into everything. Because even though I'm doing it every day, like I could have been spending everything on this just to get ruined, but I'm glad it didn't happen. And sometimes you got to know when you're going to be like half and half, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, to hide your power level, to know when you got to go all in or not, like Kenny Rogers kind of song, right? Know when to fold them. But look, my setbacks are ultimately not even setbacks. It's just a little bit of drama because that's what else can you do? So I've said my piece, and how I feel and everything else. It's just about saying, you can't continue to be enduring things that have already passed. You need to be able to free yourself up so you can go and get all the things that are going to be coming your way. And I'm now going to have to reorientate myself in that direction and go, all right, we've got the graphics card. What does that mean for stream? We've got 2,000 hours finishing up on Kick. What does that mean for stream? We've got all my records and all this stuff done. What does this mean for gaming? What does it mean for PhD? What does it mean for other activities that I can do that can ethically, pull in some dosh and make a difference and so on? We don't know. But every week is a brand new week, and there's just so many opportunities, and that's where I want to be looking. Like I was saying to my supervisor when we had the meeting, I'm not running away. It's about looking for what I'm running towards, so I know where we're at, so I can continue to lead us on the path that we need to be on to get those wins and to make the differences that we need to make. So I'm feeling confident, and I'm open and ready for all the cool things that will be coming our way coming up. But yeah, I've got to go and prepare for this chat with the folks at TikTok. So I'll catch up with you guys next week on YouTube, and we'll just keep going with the stream right now. So, Soul.
When you can